This was the first one that I watched by myself. I think the others were watching some film that I'd seen before, maybe twice before. So I sat next to them with my laptop and my headphones, which actually felt really nice to just sit and in this little bubble and watch this movie that I knew I was going to appreciate that the others weren't. On the Waterfront, it came out in 1954. It is 1 hour and 48 minutes, so again, it's not a ridiculously long film. It is rated PG. It would probably be a 12 if it was being rated today. It was considered a violent film for the time. I had no idea what this film was about. I had heard of this film with people talking about method acting specifically. Marlon Brando was one of the people that is considered to be the first sort of person to embrace the more naturalistic style, while everything else was still very theatrical and big. Watching that was actually really fascinating. I loved it from that aspect. So this movie is in black and white, but I remember a lot of it in color. There are certain films that are filmed in black and white that when you think about, you remember them in color, which I think is such a fascinating phenomenon, that you're so invested and you can see everything so clearly. Your brain paints the pictures for you. I have that with Robinson Crusoe. I can tell you exactly what color the suit he's wearing at the end of it is. Now this film, it stars Marlon Brando, Carl Meldon, even Marie Saint. It was directed by Elia Kazan, and the DP is Boris Kaufman. I need to work on my handwriting. The awards it won Best Actor, Best Directing, Best Story, Best Supporting Actress, Best Picture, and Best Editing, which I think all of them are pretty fair awards, especially the Oscar for Best Actor in a Lead Role. As I mentioned, Marlon Brando was one of the first actors to bring what we know as method acting and the more natural style of it, which I think really comes through in his performance, especially playing off the other actors that are still using that more theatrical sense. You can't get more theatrical than that preacher, who I recognized from Pollyanna.
They're the same picture.
It made me laugh so much because in the Pollyanna film, he's really intense preacher and he is really demanding sermons. So with that style of these really big performances and these big grand gestures and movements, to see Marlon Brando's character just sort of stand there for a little while and not feel he had to move or not feel he had to do this, it really caught me up in the entire film and the entire story. It sort of drew me in watching it, and I can totally see why people were so obsessed with his acting at the time, because it was so vastly different from what everyone else was doing. I think he definitely deserved the Oscar for that. I know people... Oh, the lights died. That's okay. I think we'll survive. It had a budget of $910,000 and it made $9 million, so that is a very good success for a movie. It shocked me so much. I don't know why it should have shocked me, because I understand that sometimes it doesn't take a long time to shoot films, but this film was shot in just 36 days, a little bit over a month, which is incredible. 36 days doesn't sound like a lot, but they made this entire film within 36 days, which is very impressive. The genre is a thriller/drama, which I think is an accurate genre to place the film in. On Rotten Tomatoes, this film got 99% and an 8.1 on IMDb. I personally give this film a 9 out of 10. When I watched it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was so captivated by the entire story, which really surprised me considering the theme of the film. But I guess maybe it shouldn't surprise me. I grew up watching the Rocky films pretty much every winter, so his character reminded me a lot of Rocky's character, and I don't know whether Sylvester Stallone, when he wrote these movies, took inspiration from On the Waterfront. It was unlike any other old film that I had seen to date. For 1954, I think this film was so vastly different from everything else that was being made, which is why its fame has carried it so far. Every time I've watched one of these old films, I've had my notepad with me. I've written down different thoughts that I've had while I've been watching it, or different feelings that I felt watching it. I remember writing a lot for this one. It just took me by surprise in a very good way. I showed this one to my family after I'd saw it. They didn't rate it as much as I did. I think they were also surprised I rated it as high as I did. Like, that one, really? I think maybe it was where I was at the time when I saw it. Maybe that's why it spoke to me, because I've had this thing lately. I've been watching a lot of films and I've been noticing sort of a spiritual element or a Christian element in them, and they've still been very popular films. As a Christian myself, who is a filmmaker, I've been really cautious and worried about falling into the Christian filmmaking niche, because most of the Christian films that I've seen, very sadly, they're not good. They're not good movies. They're long-winded sermons in the format of film, which is really frustrating because I think there is really such a place for Christian movies. It's just been so poorly delivered time and time again, and so cringily delivered. It's uncomfortable to watch, and I didn't want my films to fall into that place. So I've not been avoiding adding Christian elements to my films, but I've definitely been aware that I have been apprehensive to add these elements to my films because I didn't want them to be bad because of it. But when I was watching that film, there's this long preach. While I was watching it, I felt the Lord speaking to me, not specifically through his sermon, but through what I was experiencing and what I was thinking at the time. God sort of just said to me, you know that your projects are inspired by me and you have felt called by me to make these films. And I was like, yes, definitely, 100%. I feel that so strongly within me. He's like, okay, if I have told you where this is gonna go and you know what success is gonna come to you, why would I be the thing that holds you back? And I was like, oh yeah. I felt so ashamed that I'd thought that way, that something that is so personal and so my life, really, that I wanted to hide or brush aside. But that's where I was, that's what I was feeling. And God was so gracious and so kind as he brought that up to me. He didn't make me feel bad about it. He just showed me what I was already feeling about it, and he gave me the courage to admit it to him. I did. I admitted where I was and what I was feeling when I was watching it. He said to me, if your work, your movies and your projects and the scripts that you write are so deeply connected to your heart and an outpouring of your heart, and you give so much of yourself into them, and you have given your life to me, but you pour your heart into these projects, why wouldn't I be there? If it is a reflection of your heart, and your heart is my heart, then why wouldn't I be present in those films and in what you create? And I was like, wow, that is such an amazing point that I hadn't thought about before, but I can't escape the fact that that is the truth. And I'd been trying to sort of step away from the truth in that regard, but God let me know that just because it is a reflection of my heart and he will be there, it's not going to be preachy sermons. It's going to be for he who has ears, let him hear. For people who are looking and for people that have their eyes open enough to see, they will see these themes of redemption and a father's love, repentance, all of these things that can point you towards salvation and Christ. I know that regardless of whether I plan it or not, because that is what I believe and that is the life that I want to live, things that are a reflection of my life, it will be there. And that doesn't mean that every story is going to be cuckoo and rainbows made out of saints and singing kumbaya. There are going to be some really hard stories. I have so many in mind that I want to tell, but I know that the elements that are needed to be there within the scenario that is needed to be there, they will be. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself.